Hello and welcome to Walford United WFC. Hello and welcome to Walford United with me, John Foster, MUFC, match reaction show / bit of a discussion on transfers, about what happened in January, things that can improve on, lots of things to get into there. See people been in the comments, it's 6:30 tonight, so thank you for that. Peter, Lanzel, Bush, nice of you to join us. I've got quite a few people watching already. Yes, I will obviously make a little bit of a start on the match. First of all, Natalie, how are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, John. Got a bit of a croaky voice after last night. So yeah, Susie Ratt was saying she couldn't hear us. And then I've got other journalists saying they can, and now I've not got no voice. And yeah, loads of people messaging me going, I can hear you in bloody Zambia or wherever, you know. So yeah, I wish I had my voice. So that's why I'm a bit husky because of all the shouting.
Anthony lost his voice as well. I don't know if he was even at the game, but he definitely lost it. So yeah, obviously we can get into that detail soon. Reece, nice of you to come back on again, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. And I know I messaged you earlier saying that you're going to be at the Villa game on Sunday, hoping that you was going to be, because it's been a while since we've seen each other in person. But I know that you're going to be elsewhere. But me and Nat will be at that game on Sunday as well, so we can cheer on a few different players down there. Just a few shout outs in the comments. John Neville, Stu Beatty, TJ Trex, everyone's coming in. Thank you, Opstar, putting your comments on screen. So yeah, we'll make a start on the Conti Cup. I think obviously if we won, we'll be talking about it. So if we lose, we have to talk about it. It's the way we do it. Lost 3-1. Look, Nat, me and you have been fairly level-headed throughout this fantastic purple patch that we've been on. You know, 7 wins, 7 clean sheets. I think we all always said that at some point, you know, we're going to start losing. And we might lose 1 or 2, you know, on the trot. It could happen. This is obviously a game that we went in there hoping that we was going to make a final. I think if we played our best and played some of our best players, you know, that might have been the case. But was we the second best team yesterday, do you think, Nat?
Yeah, and I think, well, I know we're going to get into it, but like Skinner's comments really rang true. And I just think as well, it's everything that we've been saying. I mean, I've been on this show screaming for her to play Hayley Ladd. She is our MVP. She is basically, you know, the best player. When she plays, we win. And yeah, it just, you know, I think we were the second best team, but I think I've said, isn't it, how we react to going behind. We went behind, and it's how you react. Then they went 2, but they got 1 back. And I thought, right, okay, let's go again. Even Vilda said, we've got 1 back now. Let's go. Let's get it 2-2. You know, see what happens. See it out to 2-2. Go to penalties. I don't care. But then I think they conceded the 3rd one straight away after it. And I just think it's mentality, you know, how we do it, how we can get over these teams. And a lot of people are saying, why are they panicked? Why are they worried? You know, when we were coming up against Myanmar and that, we didn't have that I wouldn't say fear, but we didn't have that panic in us. You know, we were still calm, composed throughout the whole Arsenal game. But yeah, you know, I think the 3 players that are out, Millie, we know Millie's out anyway, but I think definitely Tooney and Hayley Ladd, massive for us, and they've just shown to me why they're so massive for us. But I just want to say as well on Vilda Reece and on Jackie, absolutely world class. And I think I've always shouted out for that midfield. Ladd in the 6, Jackie in the 8, and Vilda in the 10, or whatever way they want to play it. And for me, the link up between those two world-class players, and it just shone, and Chelsea couldn't handle it when they were doing that. And, you know, would have liked to see Signe Bruun starting. I'm sure she maybe will next game. You know, because even when I look at it, this game, it was a bit of a mix, you know. We had our cup keeper in. Yes, we had the 2 full-backs. Martha Thomas was starting and all that kind of stuff. So you could say it was a bit of like a cup team still. But yeah, I just think Lad and it's on the thumbnail. Lad, especially for me, is just the one. But yeah, Tooney creates a lot of our chances. And I feel like a lot of people will say, "Oh, she didn't do this, she didn't do that." But I think Tooney should have a shot from outside the box, and if the keeper parries it and someone puts it in, that's a chance. That's an assist, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And people don't really, or if it ricochets off someone and goes to someone else and they score, it's chances that she creates. And I think both them players are, underrated still by some sections of the fan base. I don't understand it, but for me, drop them in the team. It's a totally different game. I know Chelsea fans were saying, "Oh no, no, no," but I think especially with Millie as well, it's a totally different game. And then I just hope that we see that in May, and that's what I don't want to see now. Like Skinner was saying, play with fear and all this kind of stuff. Can't do that. No, we can't. And I just feel like we've been in this situation before, and we had Rob on, didn't we? Before this week, and just saying, we've been in that situation where we've lost out in Champions League. We can't do it again. So for me, I think these next two games, spoken to a journalist before who said basically, these next two games, you don't lose in them, you basically got third. That's what we need now. It's not kind of, if we lose again. No, we need to be winning, I think, on Saturday. And then at least getting a draw off Chelsea, or even just two draws. But we should be going into the game expecting to win. We've beaten City before. We've beaten Arsenal before. Whether it's a mental thing with Chelsea, I don't know, because that goal that we did score shows that they were there for the, we were getting behind them. We just didn't do it enough. And then even the crosses in the second half when we were, peppering them, it just wasn't enough. Fuso was bright though, really good. I'd keep playing her.
Yeah, just on Fuso, people have been talking about it on Twitter. I know Namrata. I don't know if you're watching Namrata, but she was speaking highly of Fuso, and for all season she's been a bright spark for me, and it's great to see her getting some game time.
There was moments, Katie Zellum had it through, and they were in front of the goal. Even Fuso to an extent, but I don't know what. I'm not going to, because Fuso created a lot of chances as well. But you're in front of the goal, have a shot. No one's in front of you. Just hit it at the keep, hit it to the left hand, down in the corner. Why aren't you? And I don't know. And Fuso came on, beat three people. The goal was in front of her. Just have it. I don't know. And maybe that's what Skinner's talking about, playing with fear. Why not just boom, go for the shot? You're on the edge of the box. Have it. Look at the angle that Wilder scored from. Yeah. She just took the shot, bang. Someone said it deflected. I don't care. It went in the net. And it was, phenomenal. So, yeah, that's what I just think we need to do. And I don't want us to this to unravel now. That's what I'm worried about. But I believe in them. They can do it.
Yeah, 100%. I think, look, this is a massive month. I think this is kind of what you said, Nat, about this is going to be last season before, we'd have been like, yeah, no problem. If we take a couple of draws, it's not the end of the world. But then that's not the mentality to get your top three. You need to start picking up points. And I think we've done amazingly well to win that game against Arsenal away. But obviously Chelsea, for some reason, was a different cup of tea. And it shouldn't have been, because even though I agree Chelsea are a better team than Arsenal, especially at the moment, based on current form. Arsenal started off the season well, but they're not great at the moment. Chelsea seem to have picked it up. We should have still got into that game with maybe a bit more belief than maybe we did. It was good to see how we come back with that one goal, but again, just a few minutes later, conceding before half-time, there was, that is obviously a mental thing. They've either switched off, or we've literally got outplayed. A lot of neutrals on Twitter were saying how well Harder played. Maybe things would have been different. But I've seen, we've seen Chelsea beat us 6-1, and I don't think that they were fantastic there. And you just mentioned, there was there for the taking to a point where we got back to 2-1. And it is disappointing that we didn't carry on with that. But I think, as we've said, we can't get carried away. We've lost against the best team in England so far. It's not the end of the world. I think potentially if we start losing all the games this month, then it could crumble. I think for me, it's the City one that means more to me than anything. I think as long as we win City, we'll finish above City. And I think that's the main thing. But of course, there's other games around that as well. And the FA Cup's really important to us. And Man United, aren't we? What we want to get to at least to a cup final, because that would show progression there. And top three would also be progression. Reece, just your thoughts on the Conti Cup. I know that you didn't get to watch that game yesterday, but just hear your thoughts on the Conti Cup first, and then I want to bring in a debate that Skinner actually started in his post-match interview about one of the suspension rulings, and we can get into that a little bit as well.
In terms of the Conti Cup, I'll be honest, I'm not a massive fan of it. It's not something that I would go out of my way and travel 100 miles to go and watch. That's just me, just my personal opinion.
Why is that? Is that because you think it's like they don't play the best players, or you're just not gripped by the actual competition itself?
I just don't like the format of the competition. I think there's a lot of inequalities in it, which lets it down. I think what I would like to see is something similar to what's happened in men's football, where you see a lot of the WSL academy teams coming into the competition, and then it's going to bridge that gap. So they're getting the experience against the against the senior football clubs. If for example, if the Man United under-21s can come into the Conti Cup or into the FA Cup and play against teams in the Championship or in the National League, for example, if it's the FA Cup, I think it's bridging that gap. I just think with the Conti Cup, you see a lot of the same matches played year after year at different stages in it. It's pretty much, you can sort of predict what the group stages are going to be every single season.
Yeah.
Just for me, it needs a bit of excitement about the Conti Cup, and it just doesn't do it for me, unfortunately. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
But I think that's a lot. Sorry, Jen. I think that's a lot to do with the FA, because I'd get it, the regionalised the thing, but why are we then always with Everton? Why is it always a Man United heavily stacked? They could regionalise it and shake it up. We've never played Sheffield. We've never played Villa. You know, there are some good ties there. There always seems to be, like you say, that Reece, that one group that has loads of championship teams and then just one WSL team. Last year it was Liverpool. This year it was Villa in that group with everyone. It just doesn't make sense for me. I mean, I get it, you know, but I think with the championship going a bit more full-time, fully professional, you could maybe scrap the regionalisation and have it like that. I mean, would you think would that make it a bit more interesting, or not really?
Yeah, probably, because you're going to see Man United against Watford or Man United against Crystal Palace in the group stage, or Man United against Chelsea in the group stage. Just to, then you've not got all your four big teams going through the group stages every single season. I don't know. It needs something else bringing to the table from the Conti Cup. It just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind the league format. I don't mind that too much. I know a lot of people treat it like Marmite, don't they? They either love it or hate it. For me, because this is a bit different, that's not my issue. My issue is kind of what's just being brought up. You can kind of predict everything that's going to happen in regards to, who you're going to play and who the league's going to be. And it's just, you kind of lost that spark. Even the FA Cup, the fact that it was due against City, I'm like, of all the teams that I haven't seen United play yet, not just in the Midlands, because I was kind of hoping for Albion because it's down the road from me. There's so many teams that we haven't been to yet in our 4 years. And again, we just land on City. And, I appreciate that's a different cup. It's not the Conti Cup, but there are teams out there that I'd like to see us play, and it just never seems to be that way in these cup games. I've left this comment on screen that, if I just pick this one up, Pete asked on the game last night, were you guys surprised that United didn't start with Baus, Bruno and Russo, as opposed to just a one up top?
No, not at all. I was a bit surprised Martha Thomas started, but then at the same time, I don't think Bruno. I don't think Bruno. I don't think she was ready. Not ready, but you know what I mean. I think he wanted to give her that, however long she got, 45, whatever minutes. I feel like the Saturday is the one now, and I feel like with Ladd, Tooney, maybe Hansen might get in. Russo, I don't even know if Russo will start. I think, I'm sorry. Yeah, she's not a right wing, she's a 9, but then at the same time, I feel like this Signa's a bit more of a 9. She is literally in the box. She does not go and track it. She does not like that, but you know what I mean? She is, boom, poacher in the box. She will not move from that box. That's what she's all about, being in and around that box. Whereas Leslie, I think, is a bit more of a driver. So I get what people say, she's not a 9, but she's not a right winger. But we see Leslie dropping back and picking up the ball and driving forward, and she ends up on the wing, even if she starts as a 9. So whereas I feel like this Brune is a bit more, she will be in and around looking to get get scraps, anything that she can get. It's just unfortunate that the first half we created a bit of chances. There were balls into the boxes. There was headers that we could have got, and it, So I don't know what he's going to do. I know people are pushing for Fuso, but I would like to see Brun start Arsenal, then bring on Leslie if we're going to do anything. Because for me, we just said it off air, John. We need to start playing our best players. People like Brun, Jackie, Vilda. These are like world-class players. Brun was playing in bloody Lyon, so she won the league for Paris Saint-Germain. I get people want to see Leslie all the time, but I'm worried for people like Leslie, for Aoife Mannion, playing a lot of games, never had a rest.
Yeah,
that's kind of stuff that leads to then this moment we're sort of like looking a bit fragile. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he'll play Diane. I don't know. People are now calling for Diane to play, but we had Robin Isho saying she's not that quick, she's not this when she plays against this. I just think as well, though, Lad, for me, whatever reason she didn't play at the start of the season, she's got to play every game now, like as long as suspension or whatever. I know we're going to get onto that suspension thing.
Yeah. We have been quite in for depth, though, haven't we, Nat? And now we've got that, and that's not a bad thing. People are going to be thinking, hearing you say, "Oh, Russo on the bench," but that's just to rest her. It's not like she's a bench player. We're not saying that at all. We'd be lost without Russo this season. This is purely just to look after some of our players. And when we say Russo out wide, that's not because we don't think she's a 9. We just think that she's so good on the ball, driving the players, that sometimes you get more chance of doing that on the wing. So
you know what, John, I'd even see Russo on the right. Well, it did in the end. Russo was still on the right, and Bruni came on as a 9, and Thomas went off.
Yeah.
So we still had that. Even when Fuso came on, Fuso was the 10, and she was still outright on the right. So I don't think he's ever going to play 4-4-2 or whatever, or 3-5-2 or whatever the formations are. I think he likes to play with his lone striker, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. And if you put him one more up top, then it means you're going to lose another midfielder as well.
Exactly, so it's no chance.
To be, yeah. Reece, I've left this one on screen for you. I know that you didn't watch a match yesterday, but maybe United's season as a whole. What are your thoughts on them? And do you know anyone that could potentially come into the team that you're linked with at all? That could maybe not improve the starting 11, but maybe a good squad player or anyone like that?
I like how Natalie's smiling. She's just expecting to mention Rio Hardy here, aren't you?
She wants you to mention her.
We'll talk about Rio later, by the way.
In terms of the performances, I've seen them a couple of times this season, and I've actually been quite impressed with them. I think Mark's got them playing quite well. I think what you need to bear in mind is they've got a lot of young players still, and they need time to develop, and they're not going to be an overnight success, especially the players that are coming from different countries. It's not the easiest city to come and just settle straight into in a massive city like Manchester. But I've actually been quite impressed with them from what I've seen. And to be honest, Ella Toon for me has been the standout player in the Super League this season.
I think that's a great comment on screen as well, Nat, about the fact that we are down, and about the fact that we haven't beat Chelsea. I think it shows how ambitious we are and how far that we have come, because down that we knocked out to the cup and we didn't get to a final, but we were the underdogs going into that game. I think someone said it in the comments. We have to embrace being the underdogs, but it's not the end of the world losing to Chelsea away from home.
No, I'm not worried about losing to Chelsea away from home 3-1. That's is what it is. I'm more worried. I mean, God, look at City. They went and got battered by Arsenal beat them 5-0. So I'm not worried about losing to Chelsea at all. It's just, I don't know. It sounds really weird. Maybe it's because I've been with them since 2018. It's them all looking dejected, and I just don't want a spiral. I just don't want it. I want us to be able to bounce back, and I think we will. I'm 100% behind them that they will. I don't know. I suppose when you've been down the path, you worry, and that's all it is. And I know, I'm not saying that they will. I want them to bounce back and come and beat Arsenal like they've already done. They've shown they can do it, so why not do it again? But I suppose it's the, going on a 7-game unbeaten run. First time we've ever done that. let's do more first now. Come on, like, I mean, I wasn't like upset, but they were like Fuso was crying, and I just think, no, come on, stop it, don't cry. But it makes you upset when you see them crying
It's also,
and upset.
it also shows that they want to win it. They haven't just come here just to get semi-final. They've come here with the belief that they can go into the final and win the cup as well, which is great that you want to see as well. Hello, Charlie, in the comments. She's basically agreeing with you, Nat, saying that we need to take more shots from outside the box. 100% agree. Let's move on before I put some more comments on screen about Skinner's comments after the game. It was a great comment, and to be fair, I never really thought about it until it was highlighted. Now all the journalists are talking about it as well, and it's a great point. The fact that Tooney and Ladd couldn't play because they were suspended because of the group stages. They had bookings in the group stages. Chelsea were able to play anyone because they weren't suspended, because they weren't actually in the group stages, because they got knocked out of Europe. They're now in the final, having played 2 games in this cup, which is crazy. Just Reece, let's bring you in on this one. I'm not even sure if you was aware of the rule. It's not something I was looking at, but from an outsider looking in there, it does look a little bit lopsided that you could go into the quarter-final or semi-final with players being suspended and another team hasn't got that same rule. It just seems a little bit weird there. Obviously, we're on the wrong side of it, so I guess we are going to say that, but it does seem very much like one rule for one and one rule for another there.
It is a strange rule. I mean, if you look at the FA Cup, for example, last weekend, how many players couldn't play in the FA Cup because we moved teams in January? But I mean, for me, that's just a stupid rule. I mean, we just mentioned Rio Hodge. You can't play for Durham on Sunday because she's played for Coventry and she's cup tied. But she's been through a transfer window, and she's now an asset of Durham. I mean, now they can't utilize that asset, and I think it's similar to like the Ella and Michaela Ladd. It's madness to even think about why the FA would consider the logistics of that rule to be beneficial for anyone.
I just want to touch on that as well, because I think it's something, I don't know if you were on the show, Reece, when it came up, all this, or if it's Rich, but I don't like that buy thing. I think, I don't know, like I said, I don't know, Arsenal's got a big, massive squad, City's got a big, massive squad, Chelsea's got a big, massive squad. I'm sure if we get in a Champions League, we'll go out and get bigger squad. We're even starting to grow our squad now, and with our under 21s. Play your kids. That's what they're there for. I know it's sort of thinking, but we talk about these group stages and a lot of the teams, but I think Chelsea had like something like London City Lionesses, Brighton, and all this, and I'm sure Brighton switched their teams up. So why are you not allowing, the rave on about academy and grow the game and all this kind of stuff? But yeah, they're saying, oh, we don't want to play the group stage, we want to buy. If it's the games on the same night, get a kid in, get some of the squad players in. I don't understand.
Bless you.
So I think there shouldn't be a buy at all. I think you should be made to play. But the fact that there is a buy, yeah, it shouldn't be the fact that you've given that buy, then you should scrap all the yellow cards, because it's setting it up favourably for Chelsea, for Arsenal, for City, really, because now no one's going to be suspended for them, whereas we had 2 of our best players out.
I completely agree, and it's a discussion actually that we had last week in the office in terms of buys and things in different cups, and we said exactly the same thing. And someone in our office suggested that maybe if anyone's trying to get a buy, it should be one of the part-time teams. However, majority of the part-time teams have now got RTCs, so should they be treated differently to a full-time team? If you've got an RTC and you've got an under 21s and an under 18s and under 16s, what an opportunity that is for a 15-year-old. And if you're going to lose 3-0, you're going to lose 3-0. But if you look at the bigger picture, you've now got a 15-year-old that's been exposed to senior football. But I think the reason why a lot of clubs are reluctant to do that is, and it's something that me and Rich actually discussed yesterday when you came into my office, a lot of clubs are reluctant to play players under the age of 18 because they're at risk of losing them for free.
Yeah. Natalie, you spoil with that.
That grows the game. Then I think we're talking about, and then because for me, I think we've got Kana. Look how massive that went. But she's 19. She's not signed a contract. Someone could come in and say to her, "There's a pro contract now." So
exactly the same at Sheffield United with Lucy Watson there. Anyone under the age of 18, but there's no protection for clubs, so why should they? Now we had a 17-year-old in our office yesterday, which in my opinion is the best 17-year-old in the country, and we sort of had that conversation with her yesterday, and she couldn't understand why she's not maybe getting the opportunities that she believes she should be, and starting week in, week out. And the reason is because the club doesn't want to lose her until they turn 18, until she can become on a contract, and then there's a transfer fee involved. And that's the politics that obviously we have to manoeuvre around as a football agent. But it's no good for development of football. And me and Rich mentioned yesterday in the office that the FA need to introduce something similar to a scholarship type of contract for anyone that's sort of in the under 18s, so that there's protection involved for the club, there's finances involved for the player, and there's a pathway there for them to be a professional footballer.
Yeah. I mean, I want to touch on what you said about the best 17-year-olds. There's some good bloody players at Man United, that's all I'll say. Megan Schofield, watch that one.
The question I just want to put up is Reece, for yourself. Just going back to the Conti Cup, just about to be a straight knockout. Are you in favour of that one?
Yeah. I just don't think the current format works. But I think what I'd like to see is more of a WSL Academy teams coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know about the straight knockout, but anything's better than what it is now, in my opinion. Some people love the Conti Cup. I just don't.
I just want to be that alternative voice, because I know if he was here, if he wasn't selling us out, he would be saying it's great for a team like Sheffield because they get to go and play, say, an Aston Villa, and I think they ended up beating them. So, and I do like the league. I like what you say, it's guaranteed games, but then we're wanting more games, and even there was a FIFA Pro thing that came out. There's a FIFA Pro thing that came out. That just said that's the problem with women's football. That's why it's not growing, because there's not enough league games, club games.
The FIFA Pro reports are very subjective. It depends how you read them in terms of what you take away from that report. And I've openly criticised these reports on many, many occasions. So I wouldn't trust everything that you're reading. They are very manipulative, the numbers that you see in the reports.
But what I did see though is it said there's not enough league, and I think there's not enough league games. There's not enough club sort of. Well, basically, it was pushing for a Club World Cup. But I wouldn't mind that. I want that. Bring, for me, it's not about England and internationals. It's about playing for your club, Man United. How are we supposed to, we have all these big, long breaks. And then look at us now, when are we next playing at home? I mean, that's City game. But if that was away as well, it'd be March. How are you supposed to say, fan base, come, grow it in Manchester when your next game is months away? Don't make sense.
No, I completely agree. I think if you look at the way that the models are in Spain and Italy in terms of a men's football, you see Barcelona B in the same competitions as a Barcelona men's team, but they just can't be drawn against each other. But that's going to introduce another 15, 20 teams. So you're going to get more game time off the back of it.
Honestly, the way that Chelsea haven't been able to play in this Conti Cup, I would look. They've obviously got their reasons for not fighting it, and I can imagine what those reasons are. But for me, it's just a great opportunity to play players that's hardly ever going to play. And it's your youngsters; they're never going to play in any other tournament. In Chelsea's eyes, that will be like their fourth competition, underneath the FA Cup, European, and WSL. Where else can these players play if they're not going out on loan and you've got them in your sides? Why wouldn't you play them? As you just mentioned there, Nat, we do quite have to have more games. This is an opportunity now where they could have had 3 more games at least, playing some youngsters. We would love to see our devs play, and the likes of Fuso get more game time. We would love to see. It doesn't matter who it is or who you're against. It's just more game time for players who doesn't get a chance to play. They're not going to get experience just like sitting in the devs or anything like that. I'm not even talking about devs. I want about it should be a bigger squad. Reece, I don't know if you just want to finish up on that subject before we move on to transfers and stuff. But to me, I mean, I would just want to play as many games as I can. If I was, especially a big club like Chelsea, you've got plenty of players.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm definitely for that. There's not enough games in women's football. We don't need a FIFA Pro report to say that. The players want more games. Everyone wants more games. It just seems like the FA don't want more games.
The FA just seems to want the same pool of games for me, in my opinion. We know that a Manchester derby brings him a lot. We know that Chelsea and all that bringing a lot. They just want the same pool.
But
and then that's where the most money will be at a Manchester derby. Boom, let's skim a bit off the top of that. That's all it is. But then, Man United, Reading, people might not turn up, but Man United and Reading fans will. So instead of thinking about the big wad of money, think about just growing it, making it better. But yeah.
I agree with that, Nat, the fact that like people want to see these derbies. But on the flip side, even fans don't want to see the derbies anymore because we're getting bored of it. I'd much rather have seen, if you only one game a season or 2 games a season against City, then yeah, of course I want to see it. But 3 or 4 games a season, every season, it's just like almost every other month or two we're playing City, and it's just like it bores me. So I don't know if the fans do want it, and let's see what the turnout is. I mean, I'm sure the turnout might be okay with it being FA Cup. It might be okay, but I'm sure the turnout would have been good. Look at Bridgewater, over 2,000 people went there, and that's tier 3 side. So, Man United fans will still turn up home or away, no matter who we're against. But obviously, the TV companies might be slightly different. But I don't know. I'm getting quite bored of keeping playing the same teams anyway. So, one last question here: is there a hint that the league can expand its competitive, but teams like Liverpool, I guess, because they're top Durham, etc., would be competitive for the league? I'm guessing like more teams in the WSL. Go on, Natty.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a hint, with the FA. Even I think just with what they've done with the equal FA and just come out suddenly and said, "Oh, we're going to increase the prize money." I think they either do it when the flames against the feet, or they just do it.
Can I just add something? What have they actually increased the prize money to, or is it just
no one knows? It's just
it's just off the back of a bit of uproar negative. On Friday on TalkSport. I know I had this on Saturday on Twitter. It's just a half-hearted statement. I need to be careful what I say on the FA because the last time I was on the show, I got an email from the day after saying I need to be careful what I say. So,
listen, let them email me. Yeah, send it through. Yeah, if you're watching, send it through.
We need to find something that the FA have done good and talk about that. I think.
Yeah.
We'll answer this one because it's nice of you to comment. Thank you. Thoughts on LJ? Wish she was still at the club. None of us wanted her to leave, but I think she left for the right reasons for her. So obviously she went with wishing her all the best. She wanted to be with the family at a tough time. I
just want to touch on something. She got a bit of booed. Obviously Chelsea fans clap. I didn't boo. She's like my little sister. She'll always be like my little sister. I like to see more mixed race kids and stuff in football. But it is what it is. She's on the opposite team now. She wanted to go. She's hardly played. She's ill, apparently. Or they said that she was going to be ill again, but she made it on. So I think they were sort of rushing her. After it's all this talk of Man United rushed her, I think Emma Hayes sort of felt a bit of pressure, maybe, because they didn't have a lot of people back. But it is what it is, She came on. She ran at us. Fuso ran at them. She didn't score. We didn't score. It is what it is.
Yeah. Halfway through the show, if you're new, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all that kind of stuff. Share to all your friends. We've got Reece on today because Reece knows a lot more about the ins and outs than me and Natalie does about like transfers, and obviously we just finished a transfer window. Talk to us a little bit about.
Well, I just want to say Reece was supposed to come on deadline day, so yeah, talk to us a bit about it then.
Yeah, talk to us about deadline day first, and then we can go a bit more generic. Obviously, just be careful what you say.
Yeah, no, deadline day was interesting. How many times have I been on this show and said no deal should ever happen on deadline day? And we just got pulled from pillar to post on deadline day. It was an interesting transfer window. It's definitely been the most interesting January transfer window that I've been involved in 5 years. It's probably up there with my most interesting transfer window overall. It was definitely a buying market in January. The players were definitely out there. The market was saturated. In terms of players that were available, it might sound a little bit stupid what I'm about to say, but it was a buying market. It was a bad selling market, but the players were 100% available to buy. I think it was a perfect market for clubs to get a head start on their summer recruitment, and I was surprised how many clubs left it until the last second.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking there more to do with like the championship and further down, or do you think both? Yeah, because obviously we saw Blackstenius move. Obviously, we managed to get a few loan deals as well. But why do you think that is? Why something different this year compared to others? Did you say anything different? Is it the fact that economically, or the promotion within the WSL, or what is it? Do you think is different?
I think it's a mix of a lot of things. I think in the summer, a lot of clubs left for recruitment until the last minute, and maybe they signed the wrong players, and then in January they're trying to fix that issue. I think economically, I think that's a massive factor. The attendances have been fairly good this season if you look over the last 5 years in comparison. I think if you look at the Championship, there's a lot of clubs. If you take Liverpool out of the equation, there's a lot of clubs sort of up there that are doing quite well this season. If you look at the Super League, there's 2 teams that are sort of neck and neck in terms of they want to stay up. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of teams that are on the outside of the Champions League that are trying to break in: Spurs, West Ham, Man United. So there's a massive carrot in front of a lot of clubs, and I think this January transfer window was a perfect opportunity for them to go and grab the carrot.
I think that's a great point, Nat. I mean, the clubs have all got something to play for, haven't they? It's not like anyone's run away with the league. There's 5 teams that might think that they can get Champions League this year. I don't think Villa's ever going to get dragged into it, but they definitely, you wouldn't think that they'll get dragged into it now.
Well, just from what Reece was saying about buying wrong players or not buying at all, I mean, we did our business, but it wasn't Mark's business, and then he was always saying that this is what we're going to do, and I think he started talking about it in November, and obviously we know he was in for Blackstenius. It didn't work out, whether they put all their eggs in that basket. I heard that some deals didn't go through, and that meant that other teams didn't get players. That's not just us, that's other teams. And then I mean the way Man United did it, whether if you look at the pictures that we signed, Diane was sort of like there sort of like the night before, but they only announced it on deadline. And that's another thing about the way they do it. They sign these players, but then they announce them later. So it's funny. But yeah, and then Brun was sort of, they said it was presented to us, so I just found that wording very interesting. I don't know whether, she changed her agent. You'll know more about this, Reece. She changed her agent to Alan, he's called. I don't even know what his name is, and then next minute, boom, she's at Man United. So I don't know if sort of maybe she was thinking, I need to play Danish, Euros coming up. Let me leave Leon and get game time. So I found that very interesting. But yeah, I don't know what Reece thinks as well. It was very domino-ish. I heard when one team didn't get a player, then another team didn't get that club's player on loan, and I heard there was a lot of loans going on with domino effect. So once one player signed, another club let a player go on loan, and I found that in this market as well.
I think that goes for every transfer window. Every single transfer is part of a chain, and you just feel sorry for the teams at the bottom of the chain because unfortunately on deadline day they don't go through in time. This is another issue that the FA need to look at. In men's football, if you can submit the paperwork to show that a deal's been agreed, you can get an extension. In women's football, you can't. Well, why? Because it's the same paperwork, it's the same governing body, it's the same transfer system, same systems online, but we have to submit the paperwork too. So when people sort of go on about equality, it's not just on the pitch, it's off the pitch as well. And unfortunately, there's people that's missed out on deals on deadline day that aren't going to play football now for 5 months, probably for the sake of 1 minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes.
Well, between everyone here and listening, I'm not going to name the club, I'm not going to name the players, but I do know a deal that didn't happen by 1 minute, 7:01.
I was also in the training ground from I think about 3:30 on deadline day, and that didn't get done. I think for the sake of about 7 minutes.
And these clubs, they go and appeal, and it's like, oh well, tough. That's the rules, and it's like you say, you hear about it in the men's game all the time. Extension. For a minute, that's all they needed the extension for, and now, like you say, isn't it? There's a difference between a player sort of trying to fulfill their potential. They might be playing at a club, they need to go out and get minutes. Now they're just going to sit on benches for what reason?
I don't know. That's probably just the FA though that think that they're doing best for player development.
Bit more light-hearted, Lands. I was just asked how your transfer window was, but not just yours, Reece. Obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, Reece, is it the managing director? Is that the role for Next Gen Sports?
Yeah, so I own Next Gen Sports and Entertainment.
There you go. So just talk a little bit about that. I don't know if you're allowed to mention clients' names, but how many players did get on the move throughout January, and could there have been more?
Definitely could have been more. I think we did about 18 in January across the whole of Europe. We've worked on a deal Monday this week as well after the deadline's finished in Spain. But yeah, I think I had a lot of clients at Coventry at the start of this season. So when that happened in December, was obviously knock-on effect in January, how that would affect their transfer window. So my transfer window was interesting and frustrating and exciting, and just a mix of everything, I think.
One player though I do want to talk about. You know, I think there was a lot of talk, wasn't there? And we've talked about her on this show for ages. Rio to Durham. Like, I wasn't expecting that one. I was.
So Rio. Probably 48 hours before she signed for Durham, I think had 12 offers on the table. She pretty much could have gone to any single club in the Championship, and I think she had four or five in the Super League. And we looked at all the offers, and Rio thought that Durham was best for her, and that's where we signed. So yeah, I think a really good move for him. That's probably what Durham needed in terms of getting them across the line to the Super League.
Just a quick one though. I just think. Look at I love Coventry, wish them well, but Durham. Are they full time? Are they part time? Are they hybrid? And then she was full time. So is she? Some people might say it's go on.
Rio's got more contact time at Durham than what she had at Coventry. So she's actually more full-time at Durham. Now, if you look at their training schedules, you would probably argue that Coventry are more of a full-time model than what Durham are. But if you break down the contact time in terms of pitch time, gym time, analysis time actually in classrooms, she actually gets more efficiency out of Durham.
Can you go into any more detail on that? Just in the sense of, so what else would Coventry do then apart from those three things that you've just mentioned? Not in a bad way, just out of curiosity.
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean, I'm not going to go into details, but I mean, if we just sort of use round numbers here, if a team sat in the training ground for 10 hours every single day and only on the pitch for 2 hours a day, but yet another team might be on a pitch 2.5 hours, but only in the training ground for 3 hours, you're actually getting more efficiency out of the player across them 3 hours that they're actually training. Yeah. I'm not saying that's the issue with Coventry and Durham, but that's just an example of how it can work. But it's a good move for her, and I think it's a fantastic signing for Durham because that's probably what they needed just to get them across the line, because they've always been missing just that final piece.
We've spoken before about transfers, not just being about money, but about what's in it for them in regards to location and maybe the family members. What do you think actually tipped it over the edge for Rio to go to Durham? Because the chance to play the WSL. What's that, sorry?
I think it's a lot of things. I'll be honest with you. The WSL is not as attractive as what the fans think. In terms of finance, you can get a lot more money in the Championship than you can in WSL. I think that's probably well documented. In terms of the competitiveness, would you rather go to a top team in the Championship and be the best striker, or would you rather go to a team that's struggling in the WSL and chase shadows for 90 minutes and maybe get one chance every 3 games? So it's also in terms of how that's going to affect your stock for future transfer windows. Also, as well, Durham's only an hour and a half away from where Rio lives up in Cumbria, so probably the closest club to her. She went to look around. I think she went to look around about 4 or 5 different clubs during the January transfer window. The 3 in the WSL, it was well documented that she went into Aston Villa. Durham just blew her mind. Durham blew away. So I think it's a good move for all parties. And she signed for a transfer fee. Coventry's got some money in for Rio. I think everyone's benefited from that move. And
that's another thing that gets me. So Durham, I don't how are they able to pay a I know you don't know their business, but it just blows my mind a bit because they're part-time and
Every single person's asked me this exact same question since Rio signed up there. All I would say is go up to Durham and watch one of their games. I was at their game on Sunday against. I was at their game on Sunday against against Blackburn in the FA Cup. The attendance there was unbelievable. they must have had 1,500 people there. I don't know the exact attendance, it might have been a lot lower than that, but it just seemed as if it was full. Like the whole perimeter of the field was full. I think we've got a fantastic geographic in terms of player recruitment. They've only really got Sunderland to compete with. Financially, Sunderland can't compete with them. But what I would say to anyone is go and have a look at Durham. Look at the setup. That setup is as good as probably 6 or 7 out of the WSL in terms of the training facilities. Durham's probably the number 1 sports university in the country, and they've got full access to everything in the university. Now, I know some people are going to compare that and say, okay, but you could be at the Leicester training ground, you could be at the Birmingham training ground. But if you haven't got full access to that training ground, you're probably better at Durham.
We're not used to speaking highly of Durham on here, are we, Nat? So,
No, well, I've been Durham back in the day, and obviously we went to the FCAs, that time when we did play Durham, and it did sell out, when it was United. I feel like we find that a lot, don't we, John, when we go somewhere, it's get your ticket straight away because they're going to sell out because we're coming, but no, it's Durham's an interesting one. It's always been an interesting one for me. But no, I'm happy for her if that's what she wants, if that's what she felt was best. I get where you're coming from about like the bottom of the WSL compared to the top of the Championship. It does look like Liverpool are going to go up though, to be honest. No disrespect to Rio, but it looks like Liverpool will do that. But then say if like a Birmingham came down, I feel like that's when say a Durham, a Palace, or if whoever wants to sort of really grab that league can, I think, because I don't think Birmingham, well, I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and no disrespect to Birmingham, can't see them coming back up if they do go down.
I think what surprised us fans most is the WSL isn't attractive as what people think it is. I know that might be hard for people to sort of get their head around. It's like saying a male footballer would rather play in the Championship than the Premier League. But the Premier League is essentially more competitive than what WSL is. You can sort of predict every single weekend who's going to win what games in the WSL. You can't really do that on every single Premier League match. And it's a conversation that I've had now for about 3 weeks since Durham signed Rio. But I would say for a lot of players, the Championship is a lot more appealing than what the WSL is.
Just a quick one on screen. Just what your thoughts are on United's business or any rumours that you've heard?
I haven't had any rumours, I'll be honest.
And yeah, Lansdale, we've not heard nothing yet. I think it all's going to depend on what we get. If we get top 3, it opens up the market. If we don't, then we're in the same position. Heard a lot of rumours about contract extensions now, and I feel like that's what probably United, City. I mean, God, I've heard more rumours about City potentially than United. A lot of players. I don't know. I think it all depends how it all plays out. But I've heard a lot of players might be leaving Man City. But then if I name them, then people get upset and they'll quote and they'll screen grab it and say, "You said this." But yeah, watch this space. I think it's going to be. What do you think, Reece? Just in general, summer. Do you think it's going to be busier than that's what it seems to be now? It seems to be normal. Like, God, when United did that, not 1, not 2, not 3, and I thought of you when that Sky guy did it. I thought this is what Reece says is going to happen. They're hyping it that this Man United, who won the transfer window, all this kind of interaction is coming now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually watching it as I was driving down to the club on deadline day, and that's what women's football needs. It just needs a hype. It needs a salesman in charge to drive it forward and get people interested, and that's what's going to take it to the next level.
I will ask you this though about not necessarily United, but we saw loan deals. Do you think that's like not necessarily the way forward, but it's not very often that we see too many loan deals, but it seems like all of a sudden we just banged them all in one go. Was that the same across England and Europe, loan deals, or what are your thoughts on that this January?
I think loans are actually better than transfers majority of the time. I think if you look at what Barcelona have done on their men's side and how they've brought in loans over an 18-month loan deal, and it's cheaper than bringing in a transfer on the same player and putting on a contract for 18 months. I think if clubs are savvy with loans, it's the best way for player recruitment. You've obviously got the cap on loans and how many loans you can have in your squad, but I think loans are underestimated. I think we're underused as well. I think we need to be used more efficiently across clubs.
Got about 10 minutes left, so we'll touch on commentary a little bit more. Nat, if you want to mention any other players that's been out and about that you might want to bring in, and then we'll have a bit more of a general chat.
Yeah, I think it was just. I mean, I know that a lot of players were training at different places. I heard another player was training at Durham. When it was talking that, they were going to go under. I think pretty much every player had a club. I know that. Well, a couple of yours left, didn't they, Reece?
Yeah, 3 of mine left, I think.
Yeah. So, obviously, I mean, there was a lot of talk of everyone's dead happy, not happening, but maybe people can get over it, and it's right, you've just been told you can leave. Why should you change all your plans and come back? But it is what it is. They've got a bit of money now for Rio Hardy. They're going to appeal their points deduction. Whether they win it, I don't know. I think there'll still be a points deduction, but they need to start winning, don't they, really, Cov? So let's see what happens.
There was a question. Sorry, there was a question on here about releasing like transfer fees and more stuff like that. What would your opinion be on that, Reece? Obviously, being on the inside, someone said, is it a legal issue? I even got someone message me who was going to write an article on the fee signings that we've made, and obviously I had to explain that there's loans and everything. But it's just, thank you, that's the one. Yeah. Why do you think the reason is that? Is it because the value is quite low, or is there something a little bit else towards it?
I don't know. You could sort of counteract that statement there and say maybe the transfer fee is quite high and people don't want to know how much money is actually in women's football.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, what I will. Sorry, Reece. Sorry for just cutting you up. If you look at it as well, look at Arsenal. They spent about 90 grand or something, or close to 100 grand, maybe a bit more, on Nikita Paris. What's she done? And I said at the time, why are we looking at Nikita Paris? Not in a disrespectful way, but I think she's coming towards the end of her career. I don't think she's really going to push us into Champions League. She's not really getting any game time at Arsenal now. And I heard Lyon fans were desperate they would have paid Arsenal, and we've got now a top striker on loan from them. And it's like you say, maybe loans are better.
So you say that sorry, Reece, did you want to come back on that one? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Reece.
No, I'm just to sort of mention about the transfer fees. You can see how much the transfer fees are. You can go on the FA website. You can go on Company's House. The file accounts on Company's House for a women's football club. It's not as if you're looking at the Tesco accounts. It's a fairly basic reporting of accounts because they're not turning over multi-million pounds each financial year. So, if people go on the Company's House in 12, 18 months or Coventry United, I'm sure they won't be able to. It'll not be hard to work out how much they've just sold Rio for.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. No one can be bothered doing that, isn't it? We just want to see it on Sky come up like bing,
Well, this is what I wanted to actually end the show about the direction that we've seen on Sky. So I think it's fair to say that me and Nat, I know Nat, you was on holiday most of the January transfer window, but there wasn't as many rumours this year. I think we kind of knew that something was going to go on. Whether it be, we heard there might be loans, and we heard that Skinner might have gone back to his old club. But apart from that, we didn't really hear as much as we would usually hear. Sky kind of took it up, and they had the black and yellow on there as well, and I thought that was quite interesting. And what are your thoughts on that, Reece? Because obviously you mentioned it on one of the previous shows. Can you actually see it was on a different day to the men's deadline day as well? Can you actually see that being a good thing for the game? Obviously, I can, because I love the hype, I love the promotion. This is what gets me excited. I think Natalie's probably the same. It'll be great for yourself because the more people to see it, the more, you never know. I might see you on Sky TV one day doing a deadline day, last deal. But yeah, I mean, do you think it's really good for the game to promote it the way that it's probably going to end up being promoted?
Yeah, it just needs coverage. However that coverage is, whether it's good, bad, or whatever, it just needs coverage. Because if people aren't talking about something, no one knows about it. The more people that talk about Man United women, the more people are going to go and watch it. Whatever that comes from, whether it's Talk Sports, Sky Sports, or independent, small little media outlets, it just needs coverage. It's interesting sometimes reading some of the journalists and what they're actually putting out on social media. It's sometimes it's miles away from what the truth is, but at least people are talking about it. So
I think this is great, and it would be great to maybe do a transfer show where you have a fan, you have maybe not a manager or coach because they're probably not going to really say too much, but maybe an agent and a journalist, and go around in a triangle, all hearing 3 different versions, and come out with a 4th version probably. Nat, do you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, well, I know you sort of said, oh, there wasn't a lot of rumours. There wasn't a lot of rumours, but there was, you know, there was really, but we just didn't know. We just didn't hear about them. That's what I think. And, you know, I think towards the end, Emma started to put stuff out.
Yeah.
You know, United have been in for many strikers, and they have. We know Stina was one of them. That wasn't the only one. You know, go on, Reece. I feel like you know who it was.
No. I'll just flip that and just sort of come back to you and ask you a question about. Do you think that journalists are putting out every single bit of information that they're getting told?
No
Because
chance.
we actually told a lot of journalists about Rio Hardy going to Durham, and I think only 1 or 2 actually put it out. But
So
maybe
that's
if but yeah, if we'd have told the journalists you were going to Man City or Arsenal or Chelsea or Man United, everyone would have put it out. So we also need consistency from the journalism and less media bias as well.
Yeah. I mean, what I will say is there's times when I've been told that we're scouting someone. I mean, we've had people on here going, so-and-so United are scouting this player. And then I've gone to a journalist and they go, oh, yeah, that's old news. And I'm thinking, so why haven't you told anyone? And it's like, oh, well, it's no one's going to... I said, listen, if you put out... But that's why I love our show, because if I hear anything, like, for example, today I've heard that Wendy Renard definitely leaving. I mean, I think that she's done an interview as well, but she's definitely leaving Leon. I mean, apparently there's talks that she might go America. Yeah, she might go America, but she might go WSL. Who knows? And now people are talking of City fans, Arsenal fans, Leon fans talk. But that's it. Who knows where she's going? I just know she's leaving Leon.
Or maybe it's just an agent putting something out to try and get more money from the club.
This is what I wanted to ask you as well. Reece, I mean, can it work in your favour and against you with journalists obviously talking about potential players on the move?
No, I mean, even on deadline day on Thursday morning, one of the journalists texted me, a fairly well-known journalist in women's football, and just said basically, and I think I'm actually quoting their text here. Basically, if I don't give them any transfer rumours, we'll not cover any of my clients this season. I just don't cover any of my clients on. So we also won't be bribed, we won't be threatened by journalists. There's a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of media bias in women's football. There's a lot of journalists that are very friendly with certain individuals in women's football, and if you're not part of that circle, they don't want anything to do with you. It's all a bit stupid and a bit pathetic, really. We're trying to grow a game here, and if something's coming from me and I'm telling a journalist that the deal is done for Rio Hardy to go to Durham, get it out there. Why are you waiting? But Durham are aware that I've told the journalists. Coventry are aware that the journalists are aware. So put it out now as an exclusive. I don't know why you're holding on to information. And we're trying to raise a profile here of the women's game and of female footballers. And there's a lot of people retaining information for whatever reason that is.
Is that the way it works then? So, like, do you have to kind of like wait for the clubs to kind of say that you can announce it to a journalist, or vice versa? You know, the clubs announce it to a journalist. How would that kind of work?
No, not necessarily. So I get on quite well with a lot of journalists. There's a few that I don't, but quite a few journalists had already sort of predicted that it was Aston Villa or Durham where Rio would go to. So it wasn't as if it was a complete made-up story. But a lot of people had already started to guess it. So we just agreed to put it out before the club announced it.
Cool. That is the end of the show. Thank you again, Reece, for coming on. Nat, final words with yourself. I know that we're back on both on tomorrow as well, but then it's game day on Saturday. Just maybe just like your thoughts on going into the weekend with the fixtures there and how important this weekend is and this month for Man United.
Yeah, it's just about how we react to everything, how we react to going 2-0 down. We went 2-1 up, but then probably didn't react in the way that we wanted after that. And I suppose it's about, we know we can come back and score after we go down. It's just about, I suppose, keeping on that upward trajectory, you know, keeping our heads in the game. Right, we've got the big players back, play your best player. play your best players now for me. And yeah, it'll just open up everything. I mean, I know I said I want to get both Cup and League, but for me now, Champions League all the way. That's all I'm really thinking about. And I think if we can get through these next 2 games, where winning or winning a draw, whatever, for me, I think it's sealed up then.
Awesome, thank you. If anyone wants to find you on Twitter or your socials or anything like that, Reece, how can people go about doing that?
I think it's just at Reece Land, I think.
Cool. And you can find Next Gen through your bio as well, so you can find it all through there. Natalie, thanks for coming on as always. Thursday show is always something a little bit different and love every minute of it. And yeah, we shall see you again tomorrow night. Thank you very much, guys.